Hi Devora, can you explain what the term networking means to you?
Real networking is building meaningful, lasting, mutually beneficial relationships, one person at a time.
And do you consider network to be overrated, or what is the purpose of networking?
If anything, networking is underrated. If you think about what you care about most, whatever your big goal is in life, whether it's advancing your career, finding a job, making a personal or professional connection, starting a business, whatever your big goal is, networking will further your aim.
And how can you use networking to further your career?
Well, the more people know about you and what your goals are, the more people become your little career advocates, and they'll all become people that could potentially really help you. You never know who's going to be the person who will help you the most, and if you connect with enough people, you're going to have a lot of people out there working for you.
What encouragement would you give to people that might be nervous of approaching networking opportunities or events?
I would say, first of all, be who you are, be authentic to who you are, and work with, rather than fighting against, your natural strengths. So believe that you have the tools to be a great networker. Now, someone could be listening and watching and saying, but I don't, I can't make small talk, so I'm a bad networker. Well, small talk is not what real networking is about. Real networking is about building connections. So if you aren't great at making small talk, there's a good chance you're good at something else that's even better, like being a great listener. So develop that skill and really focus on other people when they're talking with you and ask well-formed questions. And that's actually a much better tool than telling everyone how great you are, because you'll be showing people how great you are because you're showing an interest in them.
And can you kind of explain what kinds of networking events would typically be occurring within an industry? So what kind of events people could go to or identify within their network that they could further their career?
You're most likely to further your career if you're at an event that is inherently interesting to you. So rather than going to events because you should go or because you think there might be a good opportunity, go to events that have a draw to you outside of networking that will make the day or evening or morning useful and beneficial. So if you go to hear a speaker you're interested in, or learn about a topic, or develop a skill, and you're going to be networking while you're there anyway, you'll already be more excited, more focused, more stimulated, and therefore you'll put a better face forward than if you go to an event just because I need to network.
And can you give me a bit of background about how you got your book published as well?
Right. It's a great example of how less is more, which comes as a big relief to a lot of people networking because we're told you have to meet everyone, and that's not the case. What really is the case is to research and focus when you're networking. So I wanted to get my book published. There's a lot of people out there who have books that they want to get published. I went to a huge industry event, and there were probably about 50 book publishers there. So standard networking rules would tell you, make sure you meet everyone because you never know who's going to publish it. And what I did instead was I researched the publishers in advance, identified one who I thought was a perfect fit for my book, learned all about them, made one appointment at the meeting with that one publisher. They could see clearly that I knew about them, that I was interested in, and that's appealing to them. And the book got published because I had that one meeting.
And did you get in touch with them before then? Before the event?
I did not get in touch with them before the event. I did a lot of research before the event. But when I went out to them, they were amazed at how much I knew about them, and there was a real interest, that I clearly wasn't just walking up to every booth at the convention and handing out my card.
And how did you make that approach?
I said, Bear Kohler, I love you guys. And I said, you know what's so amazing about you? And I have to tell you, I think my book is a perfect fit. Could we have 15 minutes together? And that authentic enthusiasm and knowledge of who they were came through. A lot of times people hate networking because they think it means being fake or manipulative or not being true to yourself. That's not going to work. The only thing that really works in networking is being real and being yourself and having authentic enthusiasm for the other person you're talking with.
And what if someone's really nervous and they've identified someone within the crowd or the audience or a speaker that they want to go network? It's a coffee break. How would they make that approach and be authentic if they're really nervous?
So be purposeful. So think about either a specific question you have to ask or something you want to do for them or offer them, and don't overdo it. You also need to think creatively and look at things from that other person's point of view. So one time I was at an industry convention in my field, and there was someone I really wanted to meet, and he was the head of the convention. So he was pretty important, and people were constantly coming up to him, wanting his time, and he was basically swatting them away like flies because he can't talk to everyone. So I stood from a distance and I observed, and I thought, what can I do for him? And I realized that he couldn't leave the convention and probably would love a great cup of coffee. So I went up to him and I said, I bet you'd love a great cup of coffee. Can I get you something from outside? And of course, right away, he's like, oh, no, that's okay. So I said, if you were to get a cup of coffee, what type would you like? And at this point, you could tell he really wanted a cup of coffee. And he's like, well, I guess I would want this. I ran out of the convention center. I found the nearest coffee place, got him a beautiful cup. And I didn't try and make an appointment with him because I also knew he didn't want to be bothered with that. And when I brought him that cup of coffee, it was like the nicest thing anyone had ever done for him. And we sat down and for 15 minutes got one-on-one time.
That's great.
And that led to a huge piece of business.
Sure.
So
excellent.
think about what can I do for you, not to try and always be asking the other person for something.
Excellent. And what about what advice would you give to people that are already confident in networking and already enjoy it?
So it's really interesting. Enjoying networking is not the same thing as being good at it. A lot of times people think, oh, that person's so good at making small talk and loves meeting new people, so they're a great networker. Not necessarily. What really matters with networking is following up. So if I meet 30 people in one night and I've had a great time and I'm the life of the event and I have all these business cards in my briefcase, what is my goal? Was my goal to have a great night? If that was my goal, then I met it. If my goal was to make meaningful, lasting, mutually beneficial connections, then I haven't met my goal. The only way to meet your goal is through follow-up, and follow-up should happen within 48 hours, and it should be specific. So it's actually much harder to follow up well with 30 people because I won't remember who everyone is, and I won't have had such deep interactions than it is with 1 or 2 people. So what I suggest is to follow up within 2 days, because the way the human brain works is that we forget approximately half of what we hear within 48 hours. Right. So if you wait too long, that person's not even going to remember who you are, and you really won't remember them that well either. And then follow up with something specific about that person. Maybe something you can do for them, like send an interesting article related to their field, inquire about a family member that might have mentioned who had a soccer game that weekend, whatever it is, so that they can tell it's really a one-on-one follow-up. It's not just something I'm hitting send to for everybody I met that night. And the very best way to follow up, which you don't have to do all the time, but if it's really important to you, is a handwritten note, because those really get attention. And that's especially if someone did something for you and you want to show your real appreciation.
And what if you don't hear back from them, say, for example, within 4 or 5 days? What should you do then?
So I would say to follow up with another email or some other way of contacting them one more time. Give it a little bit of time and say, I just wanted to, sometimes I'll attach it and say, forward the original one. Wanted to make sure you got this because da-da, or I'm interested, or let me know. And you don't want to overdo it, however. If it's someone you really wanted to connect with, maybe once more and a few weeks later, but then you need to let it go, because then you become a pest.
And from a career point of view, do you think people can use it as an opportunity to perhaps tap up their potential employers or go and find some more information about that business? What advice would you give to those people that are looking for more career opportunities?
So, for instance, looking for someone to have an informational interview with, well, I would start with saying, make those requests if you want to either find a mentor or someone who can help you find a job. If you really want something specific of someone, make those requests on a Friday. People are much more receptive to doing things for others at the end of the week, and Monday is the worst day to ever ask for anything. So whether you're asking for career advice or a raise or a job or whatever it is, don't do it on a Monday. The best day really is on Friday. And if you are interested in making a good impression on that person, I would again focus on that person rather than on yourself. Display a real interest in them, ask questions about their business, their company, how you can learn from them, rather than just spewing forth about how great you are.
That's great. And do you have any other kind of like long-lasting tips that you could offer? Maybe summarize 2 or 3 major points that you've...
Sure. So I can first of all give you a couple tips about if you're at an event, how to interact with people, because a lot of us aren't comfortable just walking up to someone. So I would say, first of all, if you go to a networking event, and this is a little bit counterintuitive, arrive early. A lot of people don't want to go to networking events, so they procrastinate and get there later, which means they're going to walk into a big room, noisy, crowded, lots of people talking, and very hard to approach people. Early on in an event, there's not that many people, there's just a few, it's much easier to walk up to someone casually. Another great way to network is through volunteering, because it gives you a defined role. The reason so many of us are uncomfortable networking is because we don't know what to say to people, and we feel uncomfortable just barging in on a conversation. So if you're a volunteer, you have something to do and something to say, and it positions you as someone who's helpful. Also, I would say to always be behaving as if the person you're talking with is the right person for you to be interacting with. A lot of times we make snap judgments about other people, and we could be wrong. So assume that whoever you're with is important. Don't try and just quickly decide that this person isn't who I really need to be talking to, that person over there is who I should be talking to. Because one thing I've learned is you never know who is the best person to be networking with. So behave as if everyone is who happens to be in front of you. And lastly is follow up no matter what. If you're not following up, you're not networking.
Can I just ask one more question?
Of
It's
course.
actually quite controversial. So when you're, if you've got limited time and you get stuck with someone you know that's of no interest to you, how do you maneuver yourself out of that situation?
You can absolutely do it, especially at a networking event, because everybody knows people are there to meet a lot of people or to interact with at least a few people. So I would say give the person 5 minutes of your time, and at the end, a couple options are, well, I promised myself I'd circulate, so it's been lovely meeting you, or I'm sure you want to meet other people. Thanks so much for your time.
Great.
Always with a nice expression, smiling, nice pleasant tone, and then be on your way.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Devora.
You're welcome.
Thank you.